Welcome back to WEDO Pay It Forward. Today we're going to have an amazing guest, Christine Lang of Lang Financial and Wealth Solutions. We're going to talk about women in wealth, so stay tuned. Welcome, I'm Milena Radakovic and this is WEDO Pay It Forward. Welcome back to WEDO Pay It Forward. I'm so excited for you to hear my next guest, Christine Lang. Christine, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your company and how you started?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I am thrilled to be sitting having this conversation, and I'm always thrilled to talk about money. So usually I like to say, if I like to kill conversation right away, I tell people I'm a financial advisor. And for a lot of points, I am a traditional financial advisor, but I really focus on working with women in business and helping them with their money and really helping to create that safety for them to be able to branch out, to be and do whatever they want.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I was an employee first. So I'm an accountant by designation and by training, and I worked corporately for about 23 years, which makes me feel kind of old. But however, so I was working corporately, and I was part of a women in business organization in Kelowna for a number of years. And we had a keynote speaker, and at the end of the speaking, he had asked us to sit down and put together an action plan. So we paired up together, and there was a woman beside me, and she was talking about how she needed to put together a budget for her pet food store. Mm-hmm. And I said, great. And I asked her about the budget for the rest of her business. And she looked at me like I had three heads. And she said, nope, I'm not interested in that. I only care about my inventory. So I said, great. And I wished her all the very best of luck with that. A little while later, she came back to me and she said, can we talk about that budget thing again? So we spent a few minutes talking just about budgets, high level. It's what I did for a living. So for me, it was really easy and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Straightforward. Mm-hmm. I watched the lights come on when she understood why it was important that she needed a budget for her entire company. And it was in that moment that I realized that sitting behind a desk working for a big corporation was not where I was meant to spend my life. I watched the lights come on for her. I saw that moment of understanding, and I thought, that's what I want to do. And that was the beginning of me starting my own business. So then I spent the next number of years finishing my CPA designation, working part-time, building my business part-time, and then in 2014 I jumped in both feet. I had told my husband I didn't feel like I was all in anywhere. Mm-hmm. I had saved 6 months worth of our expenses because it took both of our incomes to run our home. And that was almost 10 years ago. Well,
congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
love hearing those stories. So I love it because in a sense, you're following your passion. You wanted to help other women and you've found how you can do that. Oh, that's
right. Yes.
That's great.
For something that came so easily to me and not so easily to other women and then not so intuitively. So yeah, it's a blessing.
Oh, that's great. So if you were to give someone who is either starting up a business or is in there, like she already had a store.
That's right.
But she was missing that, you were saying budget. What else? Like, is it financial knowledge? Is it cash flows? Like, what exactly should women or other entrepreneurs should be really focusing on to help them grow their business?
That's a great question. I think that most women business owners know what they need. They just don't know how to get the help. So I guess my advice would be to, first of all, decide what you need. Because we all know what we need, whatever it might be. Then ask for help. Because we can't know. As women, I think that we tend to think that we should know it all, and it's hard to ask for help, but ask for help and find someone that you can relate to. And I guess even within there, I would suggest that as you're asking for help, that you don't take someone else's opinion as your own. Just because they've done it, they're ahead of you, they should know better. But don't substitute their judgment for yours. Take what resonates. Maybe it's all of it, maybe it's none of it. But keep looking until you find that person who can help you.
Oh, wonderful.
And be patient.
Yes, I know sometimes like me, I'm a go. And
That's right.
Going 110, and so sometimes you got to slow down.
That's right.
So walk us through when you went through the plunge of working for a corporation to becoming an entrepreneur. In between there, where did you feel? Because I know in our audience we have a variety of different people who have an idea,
Yes.
they want to start a business,
Yes.
but they have that security blanket
That's
of
right.
working for someone. When do you know that you can cut the ties, quit your job, and go full force with your business?
So I would suggest doing something similar to what I did. So when I started my business, I started just part-time, very part-time, in the evenings, on the weekends, and I did what I could. I built a very small client base, and I saved every single penny that I earned. I just put it all away. So that when I had decided, when I'd had 6 months worth of expenses, and
Right.
it could be a different number depending on where your safety is, but as the work that I was doing as an accountant, I could always go back. So my deal with my husband was that I'm going to give it 6 months, and we're going to touch base every couple of months to see how things are going. And if by the time I got to close to month 6 and I was falling on my face, I could just go back to work. I could
Right.
just go get a job.
Right.
You know, it's not a final decision. You can always make a different decision. You can go back, you can pick up another job. But for me, it was just saving that money, and I knew what I had, and then I could focus for a very specific period of time. And like I said, here we are almost 10 years later.
Congratulations.
Still going.
Well, that's fantastic. So you said it's been almost 10 years. What are some of the hurdles that you've gone through in the last 10 years that our audience can learn from?
Oh, lots. Confidence, fear, getting over myself just to take the steps forward, to do learning. Just as a bit of an aside, I quit high school and left home when I was 16. And so when I was 19, I went back to school, and that's a whole other story. But the big lesson out of that is it's continuous learning. So I went back to school, graduated, went to Mount Royal, got an economics degree, got my accounting designation. Even now as a business owner, I am always learning. I am always looking to grow and expand my knowledge. And these days it's all around marketing.
Yes, that is
social
true.
media.
Yes. Oh, that's great. And I'm a big believer in learning. I myself, I have 2 daughters, and I always say, you only evolve through the knowledge that you can gain.
Indeed.
And like just last year, I went back and did my ICD. So because I've got my non-for-profit and want to do board work. So I'm a big believer of you always learning and going forward.
Indeed.
So if you were to looking back in the 10 years on it, what are some of the learnings from experience that you got as an entrepreneur that is not like a textbook?
Well, I would say because I am an accountant, so I am analytical by nature, and I am a perfectionist by nature as well. I would say my biggest learning is that I'm never going to know it all. That I need to take the steps forward without actually knowing what step number 10 is. Just to take step 1 and 2 and be okay with not knowing what's coming after that, which can be scary as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsible for your own income now.
Right. Now, if as you're growing and you've got more clients and you've got a support team, how do you know when you want to add on extra staff to support your growth?
Right. So when I start working 10 and 12 hours a day, like the longer my day gets. And when I start to find myself doing the work that I jokingly say is above my pay grade. So doing all of the filing or doing the paperwork for my clients, those sorts of things. When I see myself doing a lot of those non-value added type activities, that's when I know it's time to bring on a new member to the team.
That makes sense. So I got one last question, and I think a lot of people in our audience would appreciate it. As you're growing, how do you, when it's a service-based, because you have a service-based business, how do you do the work and also do business development? Because you've got one client, and then you've got to get another client, another one. So what are some tips or tricks on acquiring more clients?
So this past year, I've been very specific, it's not quite the right word, diligent about blocking off 2 days a week. Okay. So Mondays and Fridays are my business development days. That's when I work on my business. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when I work in my business. So that's when I'm dealing with clients and taking client meetings, networking, those sorts of things. And then on Monday and Friday, that's when I'm developing my social media. That's when I'm working on my client files, reaching out to people that I've met to have a coffee or those sorts of things.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much it's such a pleasure meeting you. And I love the knowledge that you gave us. And I love that you block out 2 days for business development to work on the business. I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to distinguish the difference between working in your business and on your business.
Indeed.
I remember when I was starting off, I was so engrossed into it that I forgot that you have to look at the strategies and the growth of growing your business and not just being in it, running the staff and making sure the operations. You got to think of long-term strategies.
That's
fantastic.
Right, indeed. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. How can somebody reach you?
So it's very easy to get a hold of me. My website is liveabiglife.ca. And that's what I want for all of my clients. I want everyone to live a big life. You can reach me on email, Christine@liveabiglife. But probably the easiest through my website, liveabiglife.ca.
Wonderful. Thank you again for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you to our sponsor, Adam Colazetti of Enta Solutions, for supporting the next generation of women entrepreneurs. If you're inspired and want to join the We Do community, then go on WeDoCanada.com and also nominate and sponsor the next inspirational woman.